All right, welcome back everybody to another new episode of A Whole New World, where we're here to bring that positivity into your life. I am your host, Jacob New, and as always, we like to start every show with a dad joke, so drum roll please. What do you call an almond in space? An astronaut.
That's a good one.
Yes, I love it. So, we're very fortunate to have Tom Hulsey here, cancer conqueror and Ironman athlete. So, and I'm going to say Ironman expert, because you are the expert on that right now. So, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Glad to be here. It's an honor.
Excellent. The honor's all mine. What were your first thoughts when you were first told that you had cancer? We're going to just jump right into it.
I was told by my doctor on my birthday in 2015.
On your birthday?
On my birthday, I heard the three words you never want to hear from your doctor, that I had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I was in shock. I was just all the emotions. I was angry because I had always taken care of myself, always led a healthy, active lifestyle, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was just, and plus, I was not only was I had a lot of anxious feelings, and plus I was embarrassed because people had always viewed me as being, Mr. Healthy and fit, and almost felt like I was a fraud, if you will. Mm-hmm. But as we will talk about later today, though, I overcame that. But part of what compounded my anxiety when I was diagnosed, I had just witnessed one of my best friends lose his life to prostate cancer, and I went to his 4-year battle, and it was gut-wrenching. And I really thought on that day 4.5 years ago, actually 5 years ago now, that I was probably my number was up too, and I was ready to give up.
So how recent had your friend gone through his battle with cancer as well?
Well, I was diagnosed in February of 15, and he died actually in 2013. So
so pretty a couple of years after that.
Yeah.
And how old were you? So you said it was on your birthday. Worst birthday gift ever.
Yep.
But how old were you? Like, did you have a family? Like, how old? Did you kids?
I do. I have kids, but I was 61 years old.
Okay.
When I found out.
Cancer knows no age. It's just, it'll get you.
That's right.
That's and I think it's very interesting that you talked about how you were embarrassed about it because you always took care of yourself, and I don't know if this is just males in general, but I mean, I don't ever feel like sharing my illnesses to begin with, but I had a situation where I had a pilonidal cyst. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a cyst in your crack, and I was ashamed to tell people. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's nothing that I did. It just like cancer wasn't anything. Not that they're by any means equal, but I mean, it's just the interesting dynamic that I think sometimes, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, where something will happen to them in a health aspect, and even if they are eating right or they're taking care of themselves, going to the gym, working out, that it can be embarrassing sometimes, And
you hit the nail on the head. Men don't want to talk about health issues like women do, and with prostate cancer, it's very personal in nature, and men don't want to talk about it. And I was a typical guy. I did not tell anyone other than immediate family and a few close friends for the first over a year, because I was embarrassed, and I just flat didn't want to talk about it.
Oh yeah, no, and I would probably be in the same boat, just saying. So how did your family react to that?
Well, they were in shock because again, they like everyone around me viewed me as being very healthy and fit, and so it caught the family off guard and very much in shock.
Yeah. So, and because before that, now you were doing Ironmans before the cancer as well.
Yes.
How many Ironmans had you done?
I had done 9 prior to my cancer diagnosis.
Okay. Wow.
And I was actually finished doing Ironmans at that point, but I can talk about this later too. But I set goals for myself to get beyond those dark days, and doing another Ironman was my long-term goal.
Yeah. No, and that's admirable, because Ironman, for viewers out there, listeners who don't know what an Ironman, what does that entail?
An Ironman is a 2.4-mile swim, followed by a 112-mile bike, followed by a 26.2 marathon, all in one day.
Woo! That does not sound like a fun day to me.
It's a long day.
Yeah, definitely has its trials throughout the time. But I would imagine that there's and I've been reading your book, but talking about the Ironman, that there are there's a lot of mental aspects moreover with the Ironman in addition to the physical. Did you see that some of the mentality did you use any tricks from the Ironman as you would compete in competing with cancer? Or
absolutely, a lot of parallels there. But I always say that the Ironman is half mental. Really, getting to that finish line, you really have to. It's up here as far as if you want to really get to that finish line or not.
Yeah.
And I always say the Ironman is a metaphor for life. During that long day, you have a lot of ups and downs, just like in life, and how you handle the adversity and all is really what defines you. And again, a lot of parallels to, and I use that mindset, if you will, to battle my cancer.
Yeah. Wow. So, and I'm gonna kind of come back to your cancer now too. So you just found out, and you've competed already in 9 Ironmans. I think that's right. It sounds weird to say that, Ironmans. But so what was your turning point where you decided to maybe, like, I'm going to share this, or I'm going to get back on that horse, and my goal is to beat cancer and then go through? Because I think a lot of people who know somebody with cancer, they've gone through like chemotherapy. Did you go through chemotherapy?
I did not have chemotherapy.
Okay.
I was fortunate because my cancer was caught relatively early, which is, that's kind of my message, especially to men, as early detection is really what saved my life.
Okay.
But that's that way with any cancer. The earlier you can detect it, the better your odds are of beating it. So,
and just the yearly checkups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was like a turning point for you? Because you're feeling embarrassed, you're feeling a whole bunch of negative. So then what kind of changed?
I was another term I like to use is I was felt very isolated, because we all have challenges in life and we have them on a daily basis. But I'm here to say that getting a cancer diagnosis is probably at the top of the list of an overwhelming challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And so because I didn't talk about it, I was very isolated. But one of the friends I did confide in knew the mantra of the Ironman, which is anything is possible. And he basically took me by the shoulders and said, "Tom, you need to remember that mantra of the Ironman and follow that." And it was really at that point when I kind of really changed my mindset from almost a defeatist attitude to more of a winning mindset, and I'm going to beat this. But at that point, though, I still wasn't I wasn't talking about it. It took me over a year after my diagnosis before I actually kind of went public with it. And what happened at that point was my wife said, "Why don't you write a blog? And if you impact just one person's life in this world with what you've been through, how that would make you feel." Well, the first response I got back was from a gentleman in New Zealand. I had given him hope and inspiration. Yeah. And then from there, I started getting more responses about how I was impacting people. But at that point, my goal wasn't to make a difference, if you will, but it was very therapeutic for me. I was finally starting to talk about it and share with other people. So,
yeah, I like that idea, because and other episodes, I've talked about how like I've started journaling, and it's just something nice about just getting it out, whether it's on paper or online. And I think you don't know who's reading it too. So like, it could be one person, it could be a million people, it could be 1,000 people. I mean, unless you look at the analytics, you're never really going to know. But just being able to get it out and getting it out and not keeping it in, I think there's a lot to be said about that, whether it's writing it on paper or putting it out for everybody to see. So I like that. I really like that.
It was it was so therapeutic for me to start doing that, and the fact that I was impacting other lives was just very, very gratifying. So. Yeah,
and so I can imagine maybe that also kind of kept you going too. Mm-hmm. So, and forgive me, I've already forgotten how long was your cancer battle with cancer before you conquered it?
Well, I was diagnosed on my birthday in February, and then I actually had my surgery in May, so 3 months later.
Okay.
And ironically, it was on National Prayer Day, because which was kind of nice.
Yeah.
I felt the power there. So.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of power in prayer. Yeah. So that's awesome. So that's man, I just love your story. So then, what made you decide to do another Ironman? What made that your goal out of everything else?
Well, what I did after my friend kind of took me by the shoulders and said, you need to remember that Ironman mantra, anything is possible, and set goals for yourself. And what I did was I set basically 3 goals for myself. I set a short-term recovery goal, a mid or intermediate cancer recovery goal, and a long-term cancer recovery goal. And my long-term cancer recovery goal was to do Ironman Lake Placid, which was 14 months after my surgery.
Okay.
And also, my other long-term goal in that's same month, July of 16, was to be around to walk my daughter down the aisle. Because frankly, I didn't know if I was going to be around or not. So,
you never know with cancer.
Yep. So and I achieved all my goals. My intermediate goal was to do a half Ironman in Austin 6 months after my surgery, and I achieved that. And that was actually probably harder for me because of just being 6 months removed from surgery than doing a full Ironman 14 months later. Because after surgery, you're bedridden and you're getting around in a walker, and so. Getting to the starting line of a half Ironman 6 months later was.
And so how soon after the surgery were you able to get back to starting to train?
Well, of course, it's all relative, but I started walking and everything pretty much right away, and then I started building up on that. Started running and swimming. I could not bike at the time because of the pressure in that area of the body.
Yeah.
So I couldn't sit on a bike saddle yet. But
so this can get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially, how many miles for half?
Well, the half would have been 56 miles.
56 miles. Woo. Mine hurts after 10.
Well, a lot of people laugh about how uncomfortable a bike seat can be anyway.
Yeah.
And then after I had surgery, it's even more so.
Oh yeah, I would definitely be like, I'm gonna need one of those donuts, those inflatable ones. Just make it a little bit more enjoyable. But so you're doing that, and so what were some initial struggles going when you started training again that you came across?
Well, the biggest struggle was I had pretty much lost all of my my endurance.
Was that frustrating?
It was very frustrating because I really was starting at ground zero, if you will, with my training again, and to ramp up, in 6 months, actually less than 6 months by the time I started really training again to get ready for this half Ironman. That was hard. But with that said, I had that mindset though that I was going to persevere and overcome, and I was going to reach that goal because I've always been goal oriented in my life, and I was going to make that happen. And also too, the memory of my friend who lost his life, that was on my mind constantly, because I was doing a lot of this in his memory.
Yeah.
And in fact, my book is dedicated to the memory of my friend. So.
Yeah. And so, well, how did you so you used your goals and the memory of your friend to get through those tough times? You just have a vision board for some of those things, or you just
visualize.
Thank you. Yes. It's like words. And just envision that in your head, or what?
Yep. I envision what it was like, because that gets you really envisioning. That long-term goal is what's kind of gets you through the short-term obstacles, and that can be said for anything in life.
Yeah.
So.
I give you props on just being able to kind of see that in your head, because I need to have that printed out. I'm like, let me see that on the mirror every day, So,
but another thing I had too that was motivating to me is on my surgery day, the nurses gave me this blue wristband that said 0 into prostate cancer, and at the time I had no idea what it meant. I just thought it was a cool looking wristband.
Yeah.
But I've never taken it off, because it's a constant reminder of where I've been and why I'm doing this now. And that kind of leads me into the other thing that I discovered a year after my surgery, is I started doing due diligence. I wanted to do something to make a difference, and I started doing due diligence on Zero, this Zero Cancer, which is a charity. And I started, and I represented Zero in my long-term goal at Ironman Lake Placid. I was creating awareness and raising funds for Zero. So this, every time I kind of get down, I look down, and this is a reminder of my friend, and all the other cancer survivors that are out there, and why I'm doing what I was doing. So
yeah, and I love that, because it reminds you of your why, and that's our biggest driving force, I think, is if you don't know why you're doing something, then you're not going to stick it through. You're not going to see your goal through. I had an issue, or not an issue. I had an occurrence with that in my life where I was looking at doing other jobs, and I just couldn't find a why big enough. For I don't know why I do that, but teaching, my why is I enjoy seeing the difference I make in helping students grow, and so just knowing that I am making a difference, that's my why, and that's why I get up every morning. And whys can change too, it's crazy, but I love that. So tell us a little bit more about Zero. So what are some of the things that you do with Zero?
Well, first of all, Zero is one of the leading nonprofits dedicated to finding a cure for prostate cancer, and also bettering the lives for cancer victims and their families. Have a lot of programs for newly diagnosed cancer victims. We have a mentor-mentee program. I'm a mentor in that program. Where, again, as I mentioned, when I went through my battle alone, and one of my lessons learned in all this is you should not fight cancer by a battle like this by yourself. You need to have a support team around you, because it nearly did me in. Because as I mentioned earlier, it can be overwhelming and very isolating. And
what? Cancer overwhelming? What? I'm just kidding. I can totally understand that. Yeah. So.
But Zero is dedicated to finding a cure and bettering the lives of guys that are fighting it today, and it's all about creating awareness for my generation, because a lot of guys don't even know what anything about prostate cancer, and so it's really creating awareness about getting checked, and then the goal is to have zero prostate cancer for future generations. In other words, finding a cure for prostate cancer, and that's kind of a dual mission there. But lots of programs for newly diagnosed. And picture this: 1 in 9 men, that's Caucasian and Hispanic men, will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime.
Yeah.
1 in 6 African American men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in his lifetime. And to put those numbers in perspective, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. So the numbers are very, very similar, but you don't hear about the prostate cancer.
We don't talk about it.
But part of it, that's the big challenge. The men don't want to talk about it,
yeah.
And because of the very personal nature of it too. And just to put it, another fact, and these numbers are coming from the American Cancer Society, a man dies every 17 minutes in this country from prostate cancer.
I didn't know it was that frequent. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you raise awareness and stuff for that? Like, how do you just word of mouth and just go on? Obviously, like coming in on wonderful shows like mine and sharing the word.
Yes.
But I mean, do you go out and do like speaking events? Like, what do you do?
Speak to men's groups, and then through Zero, we do a lot of advocacy on Capitol Hill. For example, we do a lot of advocacy for the prostate cancer research program, which is part of the DoD's congressionally directed medical research programs.
Yeah.
And through our efforts over the last several years, funding for the prostate cancer research program has been increased to $110 million.
Wow, that's good.
For prostate cancer research. And I have done that, and I also sit on the other side of the table because I'm also a peer reviewer for that prostate cancer research program, where I work with scientists and doctors on evaluating research applications on determining is this application, does it have potentially big impact or not?
Yeah.
And so we evaluate, and determine what's going to be funded or not. So involved in that. Zero also has their National Run Walk Series, which last year we had 43 run walks across the country, raised over $4 million with over 20,000 participants.
Oh, wow. Is that like one where they like pledge if I walk so many miles or run
you
so many
can do it
miles,
different ways, or you just pay your entry fee, or you put together a team and raise funds.
Okay.
For example, this past weekend, Run Walk in Baltimore had about 3,000 participants and raised over $600,000. So that's one way we're helping spread awareness.
Okay, excellent. So just through different events, and that is amazing. I love that. And so, man, I just keep thinking as you're talking, all the things that y'all are doing to raise awareness and to support families, and because you said you were a mentor too. It's not easy, and I said cancer touches everybody. My mom's gone through cancer twice. She's had Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was put in remission, and then it came back. And so it's not an easy ordeal for anybody, and especially family members. It's very hard to digest. And so I wish I would have had, or myself didn't speak to many people about it. My best friend knew about it, but not many other people knew. But and of course, like neighbors would bring us food and help in that aspect. So, but it just would have been nice if I would have had, like, even myself a mentor or somebody to talk me through it and how like talk about some of my feelings, my emotions, and what I'm doing. I mean, you guys don't have emotions, but but just from that aspect. So thank you for being a mentor.
Absolutely.
And helping those different families.
It's, again, very gratifying that I'm able to help. And I've been there, done that. And unfortunately, I took the very difficult road of going through this myself, and I don't want anybody to have to do that again. So but this is the kind of programs where some of the funding that Zero raises goes toward. And another thing about Zero, when I was doing my due diligence on Zero, one of the things that really jumped out at me was their financials, because 86 cents of every dollar that is donated to Zero goes back to the programs and services that it delivers.
That's a big portion.
It's a huge portion, especially when you compare it to other philanthropic organizations. Mm-hmm. You don't have these executives making these 7-figure salaries and everything that you hear about from others. So, but it's a very high number, and that's one of the reasons I embraced Zero.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And you said you represented that in Lake Placid. Ironman,
right? Lake Placid,
okay. So, and I'm trying to figure out like where I want to go with this now, but I was actually kind of pulling back towards more of the Ironman part of that, moreover, because I want to know what was some of the correlations. Jacob. All right. So what I was going with that is when I've been reading your book, and in one of the books it's talking about the Ironman, and that's a grueling day. We've already established that. But in the book you're talking about advice that I can't remember his name, another Ironman athlete gave to you, and it was about how do you get through those tough times. And he picks his head up and he looks around and he admires the area that he's in, because it was in Kona.
It was in Hawaii.
Hawaii, I think. Yeah,
which was the second Ironman I did that year. So
So how's something like that, where you just take a moment and you just look around and you just appreciate everything that's around you? Did that help you through as well, or did you notice you were doing something
absolutely
like that?
I mean, and I will say that my battle here has given me a whole new outlook on life, if you will, and that kind of to what you're saying when you're looking around, to knowing what you've overcome to get here. It's just it can be very it can almost be emotionally overwhelming. But, which is the way I felt. So, but as far as the parallels go, and I allude to this in my book, what really gave me a winning mindset were really 3 characteristics. One is perseverance. The other one is overcoming fear, and the third one is being intentional. Mm-hmm. And those are really, for me, the 3 biggest components for me developing that winning mindset. So,
and I love those 3. Can you say them again one more time? Sorry. The
perseverance, overcoming fear, and being intentional.
Being intentional. I think the first 2 seem pretty self-explanatory, but what do you mean by being intentional?
Well, first of all, being intentional since my surgery has actually been easier because I was intentional, because I had goals that I had set for myself to get beyond the cancer diagnosis, and secondly, it gave me. I was intentional because of the cause that I was representing. So I had to be intentional there, and which again to me parallels the battle with cancer.
So really making sure that all your choices are going towards something specific. You're not really wasting the time.
And today, it out today, when I'm not doing the Ironmans anymore, but now I'm being intentional because I'm giving people hope and inspiration, if you will.
Yeah. Because you come through, and then 6 months after your surgery, you were doing a half Ironman. That's... I don't even know if I could bike 56 miles myself. And I haven't had surgery in a while. So... But man, that's something to be proud of and definitely share, and I know it inspires a lot of people. And speaking of inspirational stories, let's talk about your book. We've already mentioned it a couple of times. So, it's The Winning Mindset, and for those of you on Facebook Live, we have it displayed right there on the front. So tell us what led you to write this book. Was this tied in with the blog? You're like, man, I really like doing the blog, and then the blog led to this, or?
Sort of. It was never my intention to write a book. I'm not an author. I'm not a writer. But I did have a lot of success with my blogs, and a lot of people suggested, man, you ought to write a book. Your story is so inspirational. And I'm thinking, well, writing a blog is one thing, but writing a book is a whole other level. And but I was finally decided, well, okay, I'm gonna write a book, and we'll see what happens. And this was it took about a year and a half to write this book. The book is very much a grassroots effort. I'm self-published. I don't have an agent. That picture on the cover there was taken on a whim with my wife's cell phone camera in Hawaii.
Okay. It's a nice picture.
Thank you. I had no idea that it was ever going to be on the cover of a book.
Yeah.
And then all the promotion is done via social media, because best of all, 100% of the net proceeds are going back to cancer research. And so I'm trying to make sure that I can keep as much back to give back to cancer research, specifically zero. So
no, and I love that, because you said all $20 of it goes.
Well,
right?
net, I say net, because I'm recovering.
Yes, okay,
recovering my costs. Yes.
So that's a big chunk, almost like the 86 cents.
Yeah, because it's not this book. This isn't for personal gain. It's for to hopefully make a difference. And the book is giving me a platform, if you will, for visibility, and it's leading to things like your podcast today and other speaking engagements. Again, creating awareness, which is what I'm trying to do. So, and the book is it's not a New York Times bestseller, but it's positively impacting people, and it's creating awareness, and that was my definition of success for this book.
Yeah, no, I love it. And where can people find this book?
This book is on Amazon, and you can either go by the title of the book or just search my last name on Amazon, or you can go to my website, which will take you to Amazon. And my website is just my name, TomHulsey.com.
And it's HULSEY.
Yes, sir. Yep. And there's a lot of nice reviews out there on the website, from medical professionals to business professionals, and how the book has helped them. The book has been endorsed by several prominent urologists and oncologists around the country. In fact, I had a very prominent urologist from University of Massachusetts write the foreword for the book, and cool. And these doctors are recommending it to their patients that are going through their battles. And this book isn't just for cancer patients. It's for anybody that's had challenges or obstacles, or I like to call them curveballs in life, to help get through, because all these everything can be applied to whatever the challenges that you might have in your life.
No, 100%. And I'm reading it right now. It's a fantastic book, and I'm finding that it really does coincide with a lot of things that I've gone through, or that I face on a daily basis, or that I have no doubt that what I will face in the future. So I highly recommend. So get on Amazon and y'all get a copy of it yourselves and help better yourself and give back to cancer.
And I'm very flattered that all the reviews out there on Amazon right now are 5 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
And when you read some of those testimonials, it's just again very, very gratifying to me that I'm positively impacting people's lives.
Oh yeah, making a difference. I love
making a difference. Yep.
Man, so writing a book, publishing, Ironman, man, you do it all. That's.
Well, I've really dedicated my life to making a difference in the world, and that's.
Yeah. No, I thank you for everything that you're doing, and I thank you for taking the time to be on this show. One last question, though, that I do want to ask, that I just kind of thought of is, do you have like a favorite? So talking about like looking up and being like, oh wow, the area's beautiful, or where you just, do you have like a story where you, in the midst of one of your struggle, either it's cancer or Ironman, and you look up and you're like, wow, this is really cool, or it's like a kind of a funny story? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. So
I don't know if I have a funny story, but again, I have a much better appreciation for life, and every day is a gift now. Again, it's just my whole outlook on life has changed. It's changed through this. I mean, that's not a funny story, but
but
it has given me a wonderful new perspective on life.
No, I love it. And so, funny was the wrong. I was, so your answer, perfect. Thank you. And I think that's important to remember, too, because every day is a gift. And we just have to stop and realize that. Just take a minute, look around, and enjoy what you have.
And just remember my tagline: life is not a spectator sport.
It is not. So, thank you, Tom, for being on the show today.
It was my pleasure.
The pleasure and honor is all mine. So, thank you, all you listeners out there. Hopefully you found some little nugget of information that you can take back, or if you're sitting there and you're like, man, this would really apply or help out my friend who's going through cancer, please definitely feel free to share.
Or any challenge in life.
Oh, yeah. So help us get the word out, share with friends, family, neighbors, all those people. So this has been another fantastic episode of A Whole New World. And as always, if you only learn to do one thing, learn to make a difference. Y'all have a good night.